It's the season finale. Yas Marina is glowing under the desert lights, the title fight is closer than ever, and Max Verstappen is staring down the barrel of what could be his first lost championship in 5 years. But instead of panic, he drops a statement so cold, so brutally direct, it makes the whole paddock freeze. Because Max isn't whining about fairness. He's not begging for favors. In fact, when asked about McLaren possibly using team orders to hand Lando Norris his first ever title, Verstappen didn't flinch. He shrugged, metaphorically, and said the one thing that hits deeper than any insult. When you're sitting at home 20 years from now, you'll still have that trophy on the cupboard. That's all that matters. Let that sink in. He's talking about Lando. He's talking about Oscar. And he's talking about what might happen if McLaren pulls the trigger. If they use Piastri to block, slow down, or sacrifice position just to get Lando that elusive crown. And Verstappen, he says, go ahead. But there's a twist. This isn't surrender. It's not a concession speech. It's a psychological play from the reigning 4-time world champion who's clawed back from 104 points behind Oscar Piastri earlier this season. Now, he's just 12 points behind Norris and 4 ahead of Piastri with 1 race left. 1. This title race isn't just close, it's a pressure cooker, and Max knows how to turn up the heat. If necessary, whispers around the paddock suggest, Piastri will help his teammate. McLaren hasn't confirmed it. Norris and Piastri themselves say it hasn't even been discussed. But, come on. We've seen this movie before, and when everything's on the line, it's not about personal glory. It's about the constructors, the sponsors, the brand. Verstappen gets it. It's always better than not winning at all, he said. About winning with help. He knows exactly how the game works. He's just daring them to play it. And here's where it gets even juicier. When asked whether he believed Norris wouldn't ask for help, and whether Piastri would follow team orders if it came to that, Verstappen smiled, maybe even smirked. We'll see, he said. It's impossible to predict that in advance. I can't look inside Oscar's head after everything that happened this season, so I really don't know. A little dig, a little mystery, you bet, because Oscar Piastri hasn't had it easy in 2025. He's been fast, dangerous, and, at times, faster than Norris. But the team's loyalties, let's just say, there have been moments, like Monza, when Lando had a bad pit stop and McLaren swapped them around. For some, that was strategy. For others, it was favoritism. Even Bernie Ecclestone noticed. The 95-year-old F1 godfather came out swinging this week with a headline prediction. Max Verstappen will win the title. And when Bernie talks, people still listen. His take, Lando is good. Too good, in fact. But he is overconfident, too cocky, Bernie said, believing his own publicity. And under pressure, Bernie thinks Lando cracks. Max is the best I've ever known, he added. He stands alone. So what happens when the lights go out in Abu Dhabi? Verstappen knows he has to win. That's the only part he can control, but even that's not guaranteed. I don't think I'm saying anything weird when I'm saying they have had the best car, he admitted about McLaren. And I think this will be a good circuit for them as well. Translation. He's not just racing Norris, he's racing McLaren's strategy, Piastri's loyalty, and every single invisible wire running behind the pit wall. And this is where it becomes almost poetic, because Max has spent most of 2025 alone. His teammate, Yuki Tsunoda, hasn't been in the title picture. Red Bull has been outnumbered, outgunned, and, at times, outmaneuvered. But Verstappen, he's dragged the car, the team, and this title fight back into the fire. And now he's 12 points away from a 5th consecutive title. 12. That's 1 podium for Lando, 1 DNF, 1 bad pit stop, 1 Oscar Piastri decision. The stage is set. And Max isn't asking for mercy. He's daring them to try. If Lando Norris crosses that line in 3rd place or better on Sunday, he becomes world champion. Full stop. That's the math. That's the pressure. And Max Verstappen, He's not blinking. But here's the secret every F1 fan knows. Championships aren't won on calculators. They're won in moments, decisions, splits of a second where instinct, ego, and survival all collide. And McLaren. They're standing on a knife's edge. Because if Oscar Piastri finds himself ahead of Norris, say running P2 to Lando's P4, what happens then? What voice rings in his ear? The one saying, "You earned this," or the one that whispers, "Let Lando through"? And if you think that choice will be clean, think again. Because Piastri's season hasn't just been about racing, it's been about patience, compromise, playing second fiddle, publicly or not, while McLaren's pit wall adjusted strategies that, let's face it, haven't always served both drivers equally. Bernie Ecclestone didn't hold back on that front either. He called it out straight. McLaren have been very helpful to Lando over Oscar. Helpful. It's a polite way of saying they picked a side. And maybe they did. After all, Lando's been the golden child of Woking since day one. The funny, fast, marketable Brit with the Twitch fanbase and the underdog energy. But now that he's on the cusp of glory, that underdog label doesn't stick anymore. He's the hunted. The guy with everything to lose. That's what makes Verstappen's mental game so potent. Because he's already made peace with the worst case scenario. He's said it out loud. All that matters is the trophy. Whether it's earned with clean racing, team orders, or blind luck, history doesn't care. Stats don't blink. You'll still have that trophy on the cupboard. That line echoes for a reason. Because it dares McLaren to do what he knows they're already thinking about. He's saying, take the shot, use Piastri, make the call, but know that when you do, the whole world will remember. And if Piastri says no, if he holds position, if he decides that his integrity or his own podium matters more than team politics, then what? Verstappen knows that possibility too, and he's counting on it. Because Piastri may have been the surprise frontrunner earlier in the season, but his fire hasn't dimmed. He's 4 points behind Max. He's not out of this fight. Not technically. And if there's a moment where Oscar could snatch the lead, even just for a lap, will he obey the call? McLaren say they haven't had the conversation, but we all know what silence sounds like when it's too loud to ignore. And meanwhile, Verstappen, he's rolling into Yas Marina like a man with nothing to lose, because he doesn't. He's the one chasing, he's the one with less pressure, and he's the one who's already flipped the championship script once before. Let's rewind. Remember round 15? Verstappen was 104 points behind Piastri. 104. People were writing him off. The narrative was turning. But since then, Red Bull and Max have put together one of the most brutal comebacks in recent F1 memory. That's not luck. That's not DRS and tyre compounds. That's grit. That's a driver refusing to bow out. And now, heading into the final chapter, Bernie Ecclestone, the man who's seen every great from Fangio to Hamilton, is betting on Max. Not just as a champion, as the greatest he's ever seen. I used to say Alain Prost was the best driver of all time, but I think Max is the best I have known, he said. He stands alone. Think about that. He stands alone. It's not just about skill. It's about resilience. About knowing when to push, when to wait, and when to fire a shot not with your engine, but with your words. Verstappen just fired one of those shots. Not at Norris. Not directly. But at the structure holding this title fight together. The quiet team orders. The unspoken sacrifices. The media-friendly denials that unravel as soon as the lights go out. So when the desert air thickens on Sunday night, and every fan holds their breath for the final 58 laps of the 2025 season, one question will cut through the noise. Will McLaren choose loyalty or legacy? Will Oscar Piastri play the wingman or the wildcard? Will Lando Norris prove Bernie wrong? Or will Verstappen once again prove everyone else right? This title won't be decided by the best car. It will be decided by the boldest call. And when it's all over, when the champagne dries and the lights fade, the only thing that remains is the name on the trophy. So, whose name will it be? Tell us in the comments, who do you trust more in a title decider? Verstappen, the proven closer, or Norris, the rising star under pressure? This is it. One race, one crown, and maybe, just maybe, one scandal away from changing everything.